Begin. All right. So, welcome and thanks so much for joining us with another Insider event. Today, we are featuring Julia May as part of our Bridge program, which is one of our newer service areas designed to help justice impacted women exit the criminal justice system or avoid it altogether in the first place. The Bridge program does that by providing them supports to help them find hope and live safer and healthier lives. The Bridge program really started as a vision of Melinda Hughes, who's our program and operations director. And she really saw the need to further integrate our three existing programs to better serve clients so that they could move as a continuum of services along that path. But it was also designed to create a new set of services that would help women bridge to their future and become more self-sufficient in that process. Julia May became the first Bridge program staff member back in September 2022, and we still think of Bridge as being new, but that's partly because Bridge has been just, new 2 years ago, but it keeps developing and evolving and really kind of becoming more robust. So it's like a continual innovation program. But Julia's experience, passion, creativity, and persistence have really helped shape the Bridge program to what it is today. Today, Julia will have a chance to share a little bit more about herself and her specific role in accompanying women on their empowering journey towards their futures. Julia and I are going to start with a dialogue, but then our aim is, as I said before, to make sure that we have time for questions and dialogue with all of the guests here today at the end of the show. As we begin, you might have questions or comments that come to mind along the way. Please feel free to go into the chat and type those comments and questions along the way. We won't interrupt the initial dialogue, but then we'll be able to look at those questions when we get to the Q&A session. If you're not comfortable with the chat, go ahead and save your questions. And when we get to the end, you can just raise your hand and we'll be able to call on you that way. All righty. You ready, Julia?
Sure am.
Okay, welcome and thank you.
Thank you.
Would you share a little bit with our guests about your professional background and how you came to the Benedict Center? Because you didn't become a case manager in a very traditional route.
No, I don't think anything's been very traditional with my role here. I actually graduated from Marquette Law School in 2008. Immediately after I left law school, I was a private criminal defense attorney in Milwaukee for a couple of years. Then had a family, wanted to have a little bit more stability and benefits. So I ended up working with the public defender in Walworth County for about 6 years. When I was with Walworth County, I was primarily doing the drug court, the operating while intoxicated treatment court, a lot of revocation hearings, and then some other felonies and misdemeanors kind of sprinkled along the way. I loved my job, but the hours were not very conducive to having a family, especially with a husband who travels a lot for work. So I thought I was going to take a year off. And while I took that year off, I wanted something on my resume. So I started volunteering at the Benedict Center. Loved it. I knew about the Benedict Center because I'd had clients that had been here for ATRs, that had been here for part of their sentence. So I felt comfortable. And I eventually just volunteered enough that you guys found a grant for me, and now I'm a full-time employee, and I have never had a better job. I love it.
Thank you so much. So you are a founding staff leader of the Bridge program. And just in your own words, how would you describe the purpose or the goal of the Bridge program?
It's building connections. Our goal for the clients is to constantly push them to the next stage of their life. We don't want the clients to be here forever. We want them to eventually establish independence. So looking at the woman that's in the office, what is it that you need today? And then finding the correct placement within the Benedict Center for them. Maybe they're going to need a little more intensive case management, and Sisters would be a good location. Maybe they are currently being housed at the CRC and they are wanting continued service once they're in the community, so bridging them over to harm reduction. Maybe they're at harm reduction, doing great, and we want to help them establish that independence. We live in a city that has so many resources and so many connections, but helping the women discover that. The Bridge program, I'm not a counselor. I don't pretend that I'm a counselor, but I help them with everything else, all of the different resources that they need to succeed. And if I can't do it myself, I help find the resource for them.
Thank you so much,
Sure.
Julia. So, the Bridge program has a couple of main components. Could you name some of those components in terms of what they are today? Because it has grown even since you started in 2022. And along the way with those components, can you describe how they impact the lives of the women that are participating?
Sure. So I think the primary areas that we're working with employment, we're working with legal advocacy. I'm doing a section called peer connections, housing, food security, all of the different things.
Mm,
But I think the first step would be that employment aspect. Um, when you're involved with the criminal justice system, it can be scary to go out and apply for a job. It's a question of, am I ever going to get hired? And a lot of the clients have a paralysis before they even put their resume in because they don't think that they're worth it. They don't think that it's worth their time because no one's going to hire them. So helping them build up the skills that they need for that. So we do a 6-week class where they're learning resumes, they're learning interviews, they're learning how to explain their criminal history at a job interview. And then they're learning once they have that job, how to keep the job and how to have those personal soft skills that you need, but then also that they're worth it and that they can actually, they don't have to take a job and stay at that job because that's where they are. Constantly question, what do I want to do next? Am I happy here? What's going to make me happy? And showing them how to document everything that they're doing so they can prove their worth and either get a raise or potentially a better job in the future. So that's kind of the point of the employment class. And then it's 2025. So everyone needs a computer. So once they've completed this class, we actually give them their own personal computer so that they can do the resumes. They can use all of the different websites like Honest Jobs and all these things that help women find jobs that are willing to hire people with a record. And they make those connections on their own. So that's the
it's
employment part.
Yeah, it's really exciting. Julia taught our first employment classes and really helped shape the initial program. I'm not going to ask her to speak or anything, but Angel Bell is on this Zoom, and she just started, I think, last week as our new full-time employment specialist. So it's really exciting that we have increased staff capacity to have an employment specialist. Hey, Angie, thank you so much. To really have someone focused not only on the pre-employment skills, but also developing relationships with employers in the community and actually connecting women to those jobs. So we're really excited about that increased capacity. And I told Angel she'll soon be a guest on one of these insider events sometime in the future. But so thanks for turning on and saying hello. So Julie, I'll let you pick up again.
Sure. So another section that we're doing, we're really focusing on the legal advocacy. Um, there's two separate areas that we're really focusing on legal advocacy, and I guess, do you want me to start with the CRC section?
Actually, can you mention Peer Connections
Oh,
first and then we'll
sure.
go into legal
Yeah.
services? Sure.
So peer connections, that is something that I came up with our peer support specialists, and it's a wonderful program. We do it once a week, and the entire purpose of it is to create a safe space for women to come together. It's women building up women and connecting them to the resources in the community. We have once a month where we have food. So we've done potato bars, salad bars, chili bars, basically any kind of bar you can think of, we've done it. And why is that important? Because people bond over food. We're sitting in the kitchen together, we're cooking together, we're sharing family traditions, and it's a chance for them to have a safe space to do that together. We're going on field trips. I'm showing them how they can use their food share card to actually get into a lot of the museums in the community for much cheaper. So, like normally Discovery World is like 20 some dollars. We can get them in for $4.
Mm,
That's pretty wonderful. And they get the idea of, okay, this is fun. I could take my kids. I could take my grandkids. This is something I can continue to do.
mm.
We go to Bradford Beach, the Milwaukee Domes, the Sculpture Garden, Black Holocaust Museum, everywhere. Wherever the clients are interested, it's very client driven. And then we do a lot of fun and educational things as well. So we're playing board games. We are doing self-esteem bingo, recovery bingo. Every holiday, we have a big Christmas tree in the lobby, and we have a holiday lighting where we decorate the tree. We talk about different holiday traditions, and it's a chance for everyone to come together and share a little bit of that holiday joy. We're doing other educational things, like we've had the fire department come in and teach CPR. We had an intern who specialized in self-defense come in and teach basic self-defense to our clients. We've done yoga, we've done fitness, whatever it is that the clients are interested in. I had a client come in and do everyone's nails one day. It's just wonderful opportunity for the women to express what they're interested in, come together and do it. So
Thank you,
that's peer
Julia. I think
connections.
Peer Connections really builds a sense of community here at the Women's Harm Reduction Program, and it's open to all of our participants when they're able to get to this location. And we really appreciate your initiative around that. So, yeah, let's go to legal advocacy. We've mentioned it, but guess you can see there are a lot of components to the Bridge program. But today we wanted to take a closer look at the legal advocacy services because Julia really has a unique ability among a staff of case managers and therapists and advocates to provide legal services to our clients. So, Julia, can you walk us through the kinds of legal services you are able to provide? And let's start with the services you're offering to women who are in custody at the Milwaukee County Center for Community Reintegration. And for people who've been around Milwaukee a long time, you might know it by its former name, the House of Correction in Franklin, but it's now called the CRC. So, Julie, take us through the legal services that you offer at our Women's Reentry program there.
Yeah. So the way that I introduce myself, we're at the center, and there's two huge dorms. There's about 60 women in each of the dorms. And I tell them I'm an attorney, but I'm not your attorney. I'm here to give you brief legal intervention, brief legal help. And why is that important? Because they have such limited time when they're talking to their public defender. They may not have been assigned a public defender yet. Maybe they're in a revocation status and they're about to be sent to a prison and they don't know what that looks like. They're scared, and that scared feeling often it just compounds when they're in that really tense situation of a dorm with 60 other women. So I try to give as broad scope as possible to meet as many people as possible. And I do that by doing individual workshops where we can fit about 16 women in each of the workshops. And I do three different workshops that I constantly rotate. The first one is about probation. I just call it Probation 101. We talk about, hey, this is what probation looks like. This is how you could potentially be sentenced with an imposed and stayed or a withheld sentence. We talk about the sentence structure, what that looks like. I go through the common probation rules. It's a contract that these women are signing. They're all over the age of 18. They're all legally competent. It's a contract. But what did they actually sign? It's eye-opening for a lot of them. Like, did you know that you can't buy a car without an agent's permission? Did you know you can't leave the state without an agent's permission? Well, we live right by Illinois. Some people work there, but you have to have all of that pre-approved. So just kind of going through that. We talk about tips to succeed, ways to advocate for what your actual needs are with your probation agent so that they can come back and help you with what it is that you need. I'm constantly talking to them about showing up. As a
Mhm.
defense attorney, the hardest thing to fight at a revocation hearing is if you ran away and you're in absconder status. So even if you know that you may have a positive drug screen, show up. Talking about documenting everything so that your attorney has a better shot later. So just these basic things to give them an idea and help empower them so that they know what they're facing and also ways to kind of prevent problems from happening in the future. I also do one about criminal court. I call it Criminal Court 101. And we go through every stage of court from arrest with the initial police contact all the way up to an appeal. We talk about what to expect at every stage. And as a defense attorney, like clients also often thought that I had this unrealistic power. Like, Julia, why can't you get this felony dropped? Like, I told you everything. In that class, we actually talk about at every stage who has the power. Is it the
Mm.
defense attorney? Is it the district attorney? Is it the judge? Is it the victim? And what does that look like? We talk about ways to protect themselves, how to avoid bail jumping charges, how to only talk to your attorney and don't send rogue letters to the judge. We talk about how to present yourself in court, things like sitting up, yes, sir, yes, ma'am. Don't bring your kids to court. Common sense things that may not be common sense if it's your first time in that system. And then the final one that I do is a sentencing advocacy class. And in that one, we're talking about ways to insert yourself into your actual case. Your criminal complaint is just one moment in your life, but it in no way defines who that person is. So, how does that information of who the person is get brought in front of the defense attorney, in front of the prosecutor, in front of the judge, in front of the people that are making those decisions? I talk to them about creating letters to their attorney that explains kind of their timeline of who they are, what kind of trauma that they've experienced, what kind of needs that they have.
Mm,
I have them review their discovery because they are the expert, not their attorney. They were the one that actually lived it. Maybe they were involved with a domestic dispute and there's some cameras, but hey, they interviewed their roommate, but did they interview the neighbor who's heard you be abused so many times in the past? And
mhm,
helping them gather that information and give it to the defense attorney so that their investigators can continue to investigate. Because the defense attorney doesn't know it unless you tell them. We also talk about when you're writing the letter to the judge, what to include. I'm constantly reviewing those letters for the clients. I'm letting them read it to me so that they have that practice and that experience before they go into the sentencing, because the sentencing, that may be the biggest day of their life. And it has so many repercussions of what's going to happen. And having them have someone that can give them constructive criticism about what to say, what not to say, has been really helpful. So I do these big workshops, but then after that, it generates a lot of individual questions because I don't want to talk to people about the specifics of their case in front of that giant room. That's
mhm.
dangerous for them. They want to keep everything private as possible. So they can write me little white legal slips. And then I meet with the clients one on one for individual advocacy. And the questions that I get are all over the place. Some of them are, I've been sitting here for 2 months and I still don't have an attorney. What do I do?
Oof,
Some of times it's, these are my charges, but I don't know what they mean.
mm,
Um, how much sentence credit do I have? What's good time? What is earned release? What is boot camp? Um, review this letter from my judge. I'm on probation. They're saying that I've got allegations, but I don't know what this means. And just sitting there and explaining it to these people, a lot of the clients have questions, but when they meet with your attorney, they're just like, oh, yep, 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 because they don't want to look like they don't understand. They want
mhm.
to feel smart. They want to feel like I've got this under control when really it's like a duck treading water. I'm able to just have a real conversation with them. Let them ask me all of these questions so that when they actually meet with their actual attorney, they can have a more productive conversation that's geared towards what their actual concerns are.
Knowledge really is empowerment, isn't it?
Yeah, so that's what we're doing at the CRC.
Wonderful. So, based on the latest year-to-date report that you gave, 139 women have attended 11 of those workshops at the CRC. That's a lot of women, and 124 women have received those one-on-one sessions with you. So you're working with well over 100 women just in the first half of this year. That's just tremendous work. I'm so glad that they have you there. So, let's turn to the women that we serve in the community, particularly women under community supervision. What are the kind of legal services you're offering women in the community?
So at harm reduction, they're meeting with their counselors individually in the rooms. And I'm not a part of that. That's not my area. But as they're talking to their counselor, a lot of the legal things come up constantly. So then the counselors are able to just organically say, okay, hey, come talk to Julia. And they come into my room, and while they may have been having their counseling session, as these big issues come up, they come to me and they can get immediate legal answers.
Mm,
I'm able to help with all of the or criminal issues, but I can't help with all of the civil because that's not my background, and I never want to overpromise or give them answers that I don't actually know. I think that would be absolutely reckless, right?
mm,
So I'm making referrals to different groups. If a client doesn't have a driver's license, I'm referring them to the driver's license recovery program. If they need a restraining order, I'm talking to them about what that's going to look like, what the process is going to look like, what kind of evidence that they need. But then I'm referring them over to somewhere like Sojo.
mm.
If
I'm
there's,
sorry,
oh,
you're
sorry,
using a little bit of jargon. Sojo is
Sojourners, that's what's her name?
Sojourner Family Peace Center, which
Thank
is
you.
one of the larger domestic violence service providers in our city.
And they have a restraining order clinic that's actually in their office, but then they also have one that's at the courthouse. So wherever the clients are comfortable, I give them both options, they can go. Um, in this climate, we have a lot of clients that are having immigration issues. I'm certainly not an immigration expert, but I have a list of a few immigration attorneys that are willing to talk to our clients. For basic civil issues, we have the Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinic that is all over the community. They're at 4 different places, so I can give them those dates of when they're going to be. But we also take that a step up. Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinic, thanks to Megan Morrissey, they actually come here about every other month. They set up in the basement. They have civil attorneys and law students that will help the clients fill out the forms. And then there's one fantastic attorney that actually takes them on afterwards and helps them out afterwards. So we've had clients that go there with a question, but then end up leaving with an attorney and actual answers. So it's fantastic. We also work with assisting with pardons. So we have clients that have felonies on their background. I explain when they may be eligible for a pardon. I talk about the complicated system that is applying for a pardon, and then I help them start putting together that packet so that they can get it. And then we also have a lot of relationships with the public defender's office. So if we have clients that may have an open criminal warrant and don't know what to do about it, I talk to them about the process of connecting with the public defender. We call the public defender together, make sure that they're eligible, help them get assigned an attorney, and then get a return court date. So those are some of the things that we're doing. I talked about the Marquette Volunteer Legal Clinic. We also have a regular standing relationship with the Milwaukee Municipal Court. There is a fantastic judge, Molly Gina, who does something called community court. And we do it about every other month, depending on her availability. I go through every single client that's at harm reduction and I look at their website. I see if they have any outstanding Milwaukee tickets for warrants. So it could be something like a disorderly conduct, a speeding ticket, traffic ticket, whatever. And if they have that in warrant status, we put them on a Zoom meeting in front of the judge. I talk about what they're doing with the Benedict Center, what kind of programming, what kind of counseling, the fantastic steps that they're doing. The judge says, hey, that's great. And then often she either completely eliminates the fine or she says, hey, come back, show us that you did either community service or treatment hours, and then I'll eliminate the fine then. That's great because we're helping to eliminate fines, but I think it's bigger than that. What I really love about it is I have had lots of clients that I started doing that when I was a volunteer. But these women that walk out of there, they all have smiles on their face. They're all crying with joy because for some of them, it's the first time they've ever actually had a conversation with a judge who treated them with respect, that showed them the kindness and said, yes, you're worth it. I'm proud of you. Because that judge is constantly saying, I'm proud of you. Keep it up. It also has real implications because some of these clients may have tickets for like operating after suspension, operating after revocation, speeding tickets, whatever it is. And those tickets could be resulting, if unpaid, in a loss of a license for up to a year, a suspended license for 1 year because they couldn't pay a ticket.
Mm.
By having that removed, they're able to go back and get their license. They're able to drive to work without fear. They're able to drive their kids to school without fear. They're able to come here for treatment
Mm.
without fear. And that is amazing. I was working with one client. She was actually one of my category 4 clients. So it's a housing issue. She was fleeing domestic violence and she didn't have a valid driver's license. And she felt very, very stuck at her home because she constantly had to look over her shoulder, one, for the person that was abusing her in the past, but also for police in case she was driving her 4-year-old at the time daughter to all of her classes and worried that she's going to be pulled over. We connected her with community court. All of her tickets were removed because of the work she'd been doing with the Benedict Center. She now has a valid driver's license. She now has a job. She's now working. She's happy. And she's thinking, okay, this is a job I have right now, but where do I want to go in the future? So those are the kind of stories like we're connecting them to these resources, but it's everything. It's housing, it is employment, it's legal, all kind of blending together.
Mhm.
And that's the secret of the Bridge program.
That's excellent. I understand that just year to date, 19 women have been able to participate in community court, and over $5,400 worth of fines have been stayed or satisfied because of the hours of treatment or community service that women are demonstrating they're doing. So there's still very much that accountability, but it's also making it within reach for them to remove these barriers, like you said, to a driver's license, which is, a ticket to getting to work, to getting your kids to school and other services like that. So it's just amazing how interconnected, right? All of those issues are. I think you also do some legal workshops here.
Yeah, so the legal workshops that I do at the CRC, I'm actually doing them here as well. And at CRC, I've got a really easy time pulling people in because they're sitting in that room and, okay, sure, we'll go listen to Julia talk. But
Mm.
here, I have learned that if I provide food as well, they're more likely to come. And also, given the price of food right now, I've got a very serious concern about food stability. So the third Monday of every month, I order pizza. And then we come, we all sit together and we talk about a legal topic. And we just started this, so it's the newest thing that I've been doing. We started in May, and I'm focusing on one topic that's based on what the clients have expressed an interest in it. The first time we talked about what do you do if you're pulled over by the police? What do you do if the police knock on your door? What do you do if you're at a political protest and you have police contact? And we talk about the rights. The second one that we did, I did about probation because we've got a lot of clients here that are actually living that probation and seeing all of these different issues that are coming up, and I'm giving them tips. This month, we're going to be talking about victim rights. So, if you're a victim of a crime, what are your rights? And then the next one that I have coming up is going to be about expungements and pardons. A lot of clients get very confused about the difference between an expungement, which you have to be under the age of 25. It has to be certain crimes. The judge has to agree to it at sentencing, very limited, versus a pardon. But even a pardon is limited because you have to be a felon. It can't be a misdemeanor. So talking to them about where the limitations are, but if they want to pursue it, what does that look like? And what is, particularly for a pardon, all of the background work that they're going to need to have in place before they actually put that application in, educating them and how we can help as well.
Wow, it's just amazing. I think you've really helped our guests understand the legal complexities that women are facing, their criminal case, but also there's this myriad of other legal issues that might be
Yeah.
also impacting their lives, and how you're helping them really navigate and remove those barriers to their future goals. So I'm so excited that we have you on board and able to offer these services. It's it's one of these very organic programs that has come up because of Julia's passion and legal background. So before we shift to a more open dialogue, Julia, if there are people, particularly if there's any attorneys on this Zoom call, what are ways that they could help support the Bridge program?
So just as a reminder, I started out as a volunteer.
Mm.
I was here. I was doing something similar to the peer connection group where I would bring in different speakers and everything. But now that I'm actually on board as an employee, I have expertise in criminal, but I don't in things like child support, child custody, the whole CPS realm. I would like more help with evictions. I would like more help. We have clients that don't have wills or living trusts. What happens if someone goes to prison? Someone needs to be able to sign those field trip slips, right? So I would love it if we had a list of attorneys that were willing to help out our clients individually. And I would just, email me, say that you're willing to do it. And then as I have these clients that come up, I could connect you to them and you could give them that kind of advice. Also, if you were interested in actually hosting one of my lunch and learns and talking about your expertise, I would love it. I'm sure my clients would love to hear someone other than myself talking all the time. And then if you're not legal, but you still think that you have some kind of area of expertise that might be helpful for our women, to come and talk at our peer connection groups. It's every Wednesday from 12 to 1. I've got a calendar that I set up probably about 2 months in advance so that the women know what to expect. But they would love any kind of education. Like I said, we've done CPR. I would love to have someone talking about things like breast cancer, like preventative screening. Whatever you think may be helpful, the women are going to love it. I'll
Mm.
provide some snacks. They're going to be happy. And this is something that's like a destination event for women. We have clients that do not have anything scheduled at the clinic on Wednesdays, but they still show up for peer connections because they want to have that sense of community. And when I've got this captive audience, the more education I can give them, I'm all here for it.
Thank you, Julia. So you can see in the chat that if you're interested in volunteering, you can contact Julia directly at her email address, which is jmay@benedictcenter.org. You can also give the Benedict Center a call and ask to connect to Julia that way. I'm not seeing questions in the chat, but please, at this point, if you have any questions or even just comments, please raise your hand using your emoji or turn on your camera and just wave your hand, and we can call on you. Some people may start to depart because it is a work day and you're here on your lunch break. So before you go, I just want to remind you also about our September Women in Justice event. It's our big fundraiser of the year. It's going to be at the ICC on September 24th. And Cindy's going to work on patching in a link in the chat, or
Yep, it's at the top of the chat. If you don't see it, just let me know in the chat
could
and
you
I can
post it
do.
again?
Sure, no problem.
Okay. That would be great. You can also go to our website to have more information about that, which is the Benedict Center I'm sorry, it's not the Benedict Center, it's www.benedictcenter.com. So let's open it up for discussion. We still have a half an hour on the clock for those who are able to stay. What any questions? I feel like even just in this period of time, I learned a lot more about the legal system than I knew because I'm not an attorney myself. Anyone have any questions?
Hi, I have a question. Hi, Julia.
Hello.
Hi, Jean. Julia, great program. I have a question. Did you mention or speak to going to court with or providing any sort of written appraisal of the women's progress while in your program directly to the court, or so that the lawyer can use that in different capacities? Could you speak to that a bit?
Absolutely. So I work mostly with the counselors on those letters because the counselors are the ones working most directly with them. When a client is going through a court case and has an open case, the counselor will give a list of the different classes that they're in, but not only the classes that they're in, but the specific skills that they picked up, because it doesn't really mean too much if you're just saying, oh, I took moving on. I'm not a counselor. I don't know what that actually means, right? So they'll actually break down by skill set what that client actually picked up in that group. When I teach the employment class, I actually have an entire page letter because someone hears employment, but they don't think much of that, right? But in the employment letter, I'm saying, yes, they learned how to do a resume, but they also learned how to do an interview, how to explain their criminal history at an interview. They learned the soft skills of how to express complaints, how to receive complaints. So very specific, concrete things. Also, when we're writing letters to court, we're very concrete of this is a safety net with the Benedict Center. If you were to sentence them to something like probation, they could be assigned to the Benedict Center, and this is what it's going to look like. So clients that are over at the CRC, we will say, hey, once this person is out, they're going to spend 90 days working with our reentry specialist, Lynette. She's going to help them get back into the community, help with all of those basic needs. Like we no longer have a social security card and she needs it. She needs a birth certificate. She needs housing. She needs whatever it is, all those ID forms, right? Once she's done, she's going to be connected to intake at the Benedict Center at the harm reduction program. She's going to meet with an individual counselor. They're going to have an assessment and they're going to put them in the appropriate programs. We're typically 3 to 4 month program, but if you need to spend more time, great, that's possible too. And then we have that list. So rather than just saying, yes, once we're out, everything's going to be fine, she's going to go to the Benedict Center, we're actually talking about what that's going to look like on a very concrete level and just having that hyper detail so that judges feel a little bit more comfortable.
Yeah,
So
I think that's amazing because not everybody knows of the details and what all goes into a lot of the services you provide. So that's awesome. Thank you again.
Yeah, and as the judges are talking, once they get a couple of those letters, they get more comfortable with the Benedict Center also. So it becomes a better alternative to jail, prison, whatever, come to the Benedict Center. And that's also helping us with our ATRs a lot, so the alternative revocations, and then also pretrial too.
Yeah. Are you able, just one quick follow-up, is there a specific age demographic, would you say? Or I mean, I'm assuming there, have you identified that there's a specific age demographic or anything? If you're able to speak to that, I guess, as to the general participants, in particular, programming or skill set that you offer, is it generalized? And it may not be, and
I don't think it really matters. And we've
Yeah.
got clients as long as they're over the age of 18 and they identify as a woman. We kind of ebb and flow with our ages.
Yeah.
We've got a lot of really young people, and then we've got older people as well. So we are a big umbrella and we'll take a lot of
Yeah.
different people. And I think that's part of the beauty of the Benedict Center. And I think that diversity of our clients actually strengthens us because it's these older women working with the younger women. It's totally different experiences, different life experiences, so that it makes our groups more dynamic.
Yeah, a lot of peer mentorship. That's awesome. Thank
Yeah.
you again, Julia.
Yeah.
Thank you. And just a shout out to Megan Morrissey, who is on our board of directors, although she wasn't a plant in the audience. She she had good questions all by herself. And in a previous position, Megan was the person who really founded, I believe, and launched the Marquette University Mobile Legal Clinic, which Julie mentioned still is coming here to the Benedict Center and providing those services. She's at Goodwill now doing good work, and we're so glad to have her on our board. So thanks, Megan. I don't know how to pronounce your name, Maria?
Oh, my name?
Yes.
Oh, it's Mary Ann.
Oh, Marianne. Okay, I'm seeing Mary A
Yes,
then. I thought it was,
yes.
so please, Marianne.
If I may, thank you so much for inviting me. I made a small donation and I got an invitation to be at this beautiful event. I just wanted to say how I've been in the field, in the many fields. I was a civil attorney in Michigan. I don't have a license. I don't think it would be appropriate to occupy that role to give any kind of legal. But I worked in a program called Project Turnaround, where we assisted people. We had the first mentoring program in Kansas City, Missouri. And we worked with the Sisters of St. Joseph. It was a brainchild of visionaries that was grounded in personal investment in human relationships. And that, when I heard you say you loved your job, I went, you got it. That's the magic sauce. Anyway, I'm just so happy that you're all together. I'm new to the reality because I left my professional work. I'm kind of in transition, so I have time. But the need is great, the work is great, and I don't really have a question because you have so much functional capacity. I just want to affirm the reality that we experienced, that when people develop the ability to feel seen and loved. I mean, it's just what the word is. Then they begin to make decisions over time that are pro-social and empowered. It's not to say don't do this or don't do that, but there are massive changes happening within the being of a person at the same time. So what we found was we actually had a house donated, and these nuns took the women and lived with them. Can you believe that? Right out of prison. And it was
That's wonderful.
beautiful. I'm not suggesting that's the only way, but what I am saying is I see and I feel that kind of joy and love here. And I just want to say thank you, because that's even more it's so present in every interaction, you know?
Thank you, Marianne. You really are speaking to the spirit of I think the Benedict Center
Is
and
it? I did not
um,
know that, but it's
yeah, and
really
in a way,
obvious.
the spirituality that happens, I think, here, women are relational, and relationships and connection are absolutely how that healing process begins. I'd love to follow up and learn more about the program that you're talking about.
Sure.
I'm also very
Look,
pleased to say we have an active partnership with a number of Catholic sisters that support our sisters program,
yeah.
which is another program, but some of them are
Mhm.
here today, and only because I've had the good um, um, experience of working so closely with those Catholic sisters, I can absolutely believe that they set up a house and were willing to live with women who were just returning to the community.
Right,
I
right,
can
right.
absolutely believe that. But I'd love to have a follow-up conversation with you to learn more because we're always looking for other models and ideas as we innovate. So thank you for that. I think next up I saw Steve put his hand up. You're muted though. Steve, you're muted. Can you unmute him, Cindy? Let's get you unmuted, Steve. There you go.
Can you hear me now?
Yes,
Yes,
thank you.
Julia, I just think that program sounds fantastic.
thank you.
It's always been the goal of the Benedict Center to create more of a wraparound service for women that would give them the ability to achieve some type of independence and to live a better life.
Yeah.
And it sounds like you're really making great progress in that direction. And you must be a very busy lady. It sounds like so.
Yes. But
Uh,
as a public defender, one thing is that I would be referring my clients to these programs and just hoping for the best.
yeah.
And I was always wishing for some kind of a program that did have more of that wraparound, that
Mhm.
didn't tell the clients what to do because they thought that's what was best, but actually listened to the clients. What is it that you need? I
Yeah.
may think that you having housing is the number one priority, but you may say, no, I just really need food right now.
Hmm.
Listening to the clients, letting them be client-led,
Yeah.
and treating them with that level of respect so that they can make the decisions on their own behalf.
Yeah. I guess my question was, and maybe this is to you and Jean, is what holes do you see that remain in terms of being able to offer all the services that these women need to get them on their way?
Do you want to go or do you want me to, Jean?
Uh, um, we have a couple of other questions, but why don't you say the first one or two that come to mind? Because I'm sure there may be more.
Housing, affordable housing,
Right.
and dental.
Okay.
Mhm.
Those are mine.
Interesting. Yeah. Now that
Thank you.
in housing, we've made some progress in that. I think having in
Yeah,
terms of being able to get some type of priority
it's
for
true.
But
homeless women in the
Yeah. If I could
affordable housing that's nice though, that doesn't
yeah,
have raccoons crawling through.
just in general more.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Julia, Steve Steiner was the board president up until for 9 years leading up to the end of his term, which was just before COVID. And it was during that time that the Benedict Center made the decision to begin looking at systemic solutions to the housing needs of women. And what that has led to is Milwaukee's first HUD funding specific to women or anybody who is homeless because they're fleeing violence like domestic violence or sex trafficking. And Julia mentioned one of the participants she was working with had category 4 housing. Well, that's a direct result of that kind of advocacy that we did so that she has a 2-year voucher to help get back up on her feet through that apartment. But Julia also speaks to, because she has gone through our neighborhoods and searched with clients for apartments, and so finding good landlords that maintain their properties and are willing to accept these vouchers, which pay at market rate, is absolutely something we need more of. The quality and condition of housing in some of our neighborhoods is much to be desired, and Julia is the constant advocate in pushing for making sure that women are in a place that's habitable, to be sure. But thanks so much again, Steve, for joining
Well,
us.
thank you for all your good work. I think that sounds great.
All
Thank
right,
you.
super. We do have a question in the chat I want to make sure I get to. It's Rachel, who I think is from Pathfinders, right? And she says, love this program so much. How frequently are you able to meet with people in the CRC? Is there a schedule for the workshops? So, Julia.
So I am at the CRC every Tuesday, answering all of the legal slips. If there are more than I can answer on a Tuesday, then I go another day as well. I'm slightly limited because I'm not actually a full-time staff. I work 32 hours a week, so I make it work. As far as the workshops, we are limited in space because we only have that small little multi-purpose room to do the classes in. So I'm sharing that with the reentry staff that are doing AODA, moving on, anger management, all of that. So they do 6-week classes. As soon as those classes are done, they do a 2-week break while they're getting everything reset. That's when I jump in and I do the workshops. And I typically do the workshops. I can only fit like safely about 15 women in the room at a time. I normally have more interest than that. So I'll do F dorm in the morning and the afternoon so that I can get at least 30 people in. And then I'll do H dorm another day, morning and afternoon to get another 30 in.
Thank you. Rachel, do you have any follow-up question? If you don't come on the... Mhm.
No, I think that was all. That's awesome. I'm glad you're able to go there so frequently.
It's pretty great. And I have a great relationship with Lynette, who works over there also. So sometimes if it's a question where I may be at harm reduction, Lynette just gives me a call while the client's in the office with her, and we can work directly that way as well. So that's part of the bridge also. I mean, staff helping staff out and identifying and being able to identify where is this client going to be best served and how can we get them connected to the person that has the answer. And just being humble enough to realize we don't know it all. Who does?
Thank you. Any other questions? We still have about 10 minutes on the clock, so feel free to jump in with questions or compliments. Speaking of compliments, Shelley Baim writes, wow, how wonderful the women have you in their corner, Julia May. You are changing lives. Thank you for sharing your talent and your heart with the Benedict Center and their clients.
Thank you.
Powerful words. And Marianne, beautiful and powerful work. Thank you so much. Rachel writes, amazing. Definitely will be utilizing the resource. So thank you all for those words and encouragement. Any other questions or thoughts?
Hi, this is Carrie from the Gerald L. Ignace Indian Health Center. I was
Carrie.
wondering if, when you do your workshops at the Benedict Center, do you help people outside of the district, outside of CRC, like MSDF or Racine, or, if we could get clients in from over there, would you be able to help those clients as well with legal questions and issues and maybe obtaining a defense attorney?
I think that's a really interesting question, Carrie. We're not operating in other facilities. I think that we certainly have an interest in being able to grow the programs and connect with more justice impacted women. And we'd have to, there's a couple of steps that might be involved with that. But if you are working, I know you're an advocate in the community, if you're working with some specific women where you might have some questions right now, please feel free to reach out to Julia directly, but also, Carrie, I welcome a follow-up conversation just to talk about the idea of how to expand potentially to some other institutions where women are incarcerated. Maybe we can't do the full women's reentry program, but we could recruit some more legal volunteers and expand the legal education and support that women so very much need. Thank you for that suggestion, Carrie.
Thank you.
It's wonderful on this call as a mix of board members and supporters, but also some of our community partners from other agencies. The Benedict Center does so much of its work well because of our partnerships in the community, partnerships with health centers like Gerald Ignace Indian Health Center, organizations like Pathfinders that's working with young people, and probably some others. I don't recognize everyone's name that goes with an agency, but I suspect there are more here on this call.
Also, well, we are the Indian Center, so we work with a lot of clients who have issues within the tribe, with the tribal nations and stuff. And I don't know if I know that Judicare helps with our northern folks if they have tribal issues, but with the climate of the country right now, there's not a lot of funding, so the cuts are being made, and our people are suffering that way too. So I was just wondering if there's any background, if Julia has any background in like jurisdictional jurisdictions, far as like tribal, state, and federal jurisdictional law.
Unfortunately, I do not personally. However, if you do want to give me a call, we can potentially start talking and I could try to find some other resources for you too. I told you I only work limited hours. However, I have a tribe of service learners and interns and volunteers that I have helping me out too. That's an area that I haven't done a resource list for, but I think that'd be really beneficial. So I can look into that. Thank you.
Thank you, Carrie. I think that really brings an important part of the consideration. If someone is part of a nation, a Native American tribe, or if someone is an immigrant, there are other legal considerations and impacts to consider. So, thanks for bringing that to light. Are there other questions? Got 5 minutes left. Some other great comments in the chat.
I'll just jump in real quick, Jean.
Mhm.
As I'm putting it in the chat, but I figured, well, please, we'll just share. As to tribal law and issues in federal court, which covers obviously our Native Indian tribes, Judicare out in the northern half of, I'll put their website in the chat. They have individual who focuses specifically on tribal law. They're out of Wausau, Wisconsin, but they do travel the northern half of the state. So like I said, I'll share their information for the individual who is asking. It's a very important question and resource to have. So I'll share that with everyone.
I think Carrie did actually mention them, but please share
Okay.
for others. I think one of the concerns is not knowing if
Yeah.
those services are going to be continued funding wise, if they'll make it, and if there's other resources. So
Absolutely.
But check it out, Home Judicare, and for those of us who maybe aren't always thinking about what that level is, appreciate that there's a really important program there and with Judicare that needs support. Thank you, Sister Linda. Well, I think we're close to wrapping up. Unless anyone else raises their hand, I just want to thank you for spending an hour with us to learn more. We specifically designed these insider events to be able to go deeper into depth of the detail that the Benedict Center does, because while what we do is simple in concept, right? How do we help women exit the criminal justice system and go on to live better lives? But how that gets achieved does have a fair level of complexity. So we want to be able to provide people meaningful insights into how that work works, and also as a way to reach out and potentially get new ideas, and like how we might expand to other places, and hopefully even pick up some new partners or new volunteers. So I want to thank you again. Please do save the date for September 24th for our Women in Justice event. We're going to be really featuring the innovation and compassion of the Benedict Center's programs, but more importantly, centering some of the experiences and stories of women in our programs, which I think speaks volumes. So thank you for marking your calendar or going ahead and registering early even. Much to say.
Thank you very much.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Thanks all.